What is going on, everyone? It is Tyler McKinney back here again, and golly Moses, whew, I don't know what to think here, and this just goes to show me that WWE just has a wealth of riches that they just don't know what to do with. And listen, I'm sitting here again doing a video. I just got done working out, and I just did some chest. Don't worry, I hit leg day up, so don't think I'm just working on the top. Don't worry, guys. I'm trying to work on my whole body. But getting back to this whole thing with WWE, they had a perfect opportunity with, LA Knight or Eli Drake. They just ruined it. Listen, you had a guy who comes in, he debuts on your pay-per-view, he hits dead spot on promo. And listen, he hits and checked all of the boxes that you would want to for somebody coming in wanting more of a traditional styled, of a wrestler, and give that pizzazz and that with it. Listen, he has the it factor. When he comes on screen, he looks good. He's cut. He's exactly what you want, and he can talk on a mic. He knows how to talk to a camera. He knows how to look in the camera, tell you what he thinks, and go from there and do that. And listen, he did that for like 3 weeks. They built up this guy, right? So maybe even a month. I don't really remember exactly everything with it, but got this guy. You build him up. And then, you have this Bronson Reed, come in. And, it's kind of like, okay, we've got kind of, this is a big guy. And what I'm thinking in my head is like, this is a big dude. And we're going to show just how big and bad LA Knight is. And so, he's going to come in. He's going to, do some shenanigans, try to show him you can't come into our locker room and take over. And pretty much, things are on track, and I think that's what's going to happen. It kind of distracts him, but don't worry, LA Knight pulls out the win in the long run. The guy rips up his jacket, the whole 9 yards. So they're going to have a match. And listen, I think it's a great way to start a match. It's simple. It's easy. We know why there's a match here. There really isn't a whole lot of storyline going on. Listen, this is just to show who Eli Drake to LA Knight is, and we're going to go from there. I totally get it. But then you go out and he loses. And not only does he lose, but he loses cleanly. So this is only his second match. That's right. That's exactly what I said. His second match in NXT. We're not even talking about, he's not even on the main roster. He's in NXT, and this is his second match, and you're already, pushing him down. In my book, you've already ruined him. It's going to take a while to build him back up to what you had, and this exciting guy that's coming in, and listen, this guy can cut a promo, and you don't need another Miz. You really don't. You don't need another guy who can talk a big game and then who can't come in there and back it up. You don't need that guy. You need a guy who can talk on the mic, who can come in there, and who's going to, he's got the it factor, he looks good, and he's going to be able to check all your boxes. The reality of it is if they really wanted to, LA Knight could have really rode it through on up to main roster, and you could easily put him in there. The guy's been around wrestling for a long time. You could have done some stuff with that, but you didn't. And listen, I get it. Look, Bronson Reed's not a bad wrestler. He's been around a while as well. See, you got to look at this. Again, these guys, you got a guy who's 38 in Eli Drake, and you got a guy who's 30. These guys have been around for a little while. Neither one of them are spring chickens. Now, they might be newer to, the good night, I can't talk, WWE locker room. They might be new to the WWE way of things, but these guys are not newbies when it comes to, getting around a ring, getting in a ring. They know their way around it. And Eli Drake is actually pretty decorated when it comes to the indie scene. He's been around, he's held championship belts and some pretty prominent belts at that. So in the indie scene. So, as you look at things, this cleanly losing is just not a good thing. And listen, I get it with the whole thing for Eli Drake. You're 38 years old. You sign a good contract, and he's making his money. Listen, I get it. He's done his thing around, and that with it, he's going into WWE, and he's gonna get, he's gonna get his paycheck. This is his payday for him. I get that, but I don't understand why WWE you do this. You got a guy who's 38. You don't have a whole lot of years left with him. At most, you probably have about 10 years left of, actual good wrestling matches out of him. You probably have, a window of about 5 years of actually being able to pull in, night out, good wrestling matches, wrestling 5 times a week, something like that, pulling all of, the actual full-on tour. You got probably about 4, 5, 6 years out of him for that. You don't have a very long time with him for that. And who knows, maybe this is just a short contract that they signed with him, to kind of figure out what, if they want to do something with him, if he's hitting it off, how's it's going, and that with him. So I'm really baffled by how they've done this, what they've decided to do with him. This one was a total flop for me. Now I'm not invested in him anymore. You really have ruined him for me. Unless you can do something to change this, which I don't see really doing anything, because you made him cleanly lose. And this is not cleanly lose to your top guys. This is cleanly lose to a guy. I'm not saying that he's not talented. He's a big dude, and I think he's got a lot of talent. He's very athletic, but he's a no-name. You go and ask the average regular wrestling, fan, they're not going to know who he is. They're just not going to. He's not a big name. And so when you do that to him, I think you've just wasted a talent there. And it just stinks, because it probably looks like from here on out, he's probably going to get buried. And that's sad, because he's going to collect a paycheck, and, he's just going to be another one of those guys sitting in that locker room who could be doing great things, but instead is just sitting there working out and not getting any TV time, or not getting to see how their athleticism and what they can do. And he's just going to be, pushed back to the pack. Now, who knows? They could change things. I mean, you had a really good thing going on here. You had a really nice guy that you could build either way. You could build him into a villain. You could build, a heel. You could build him into a babyface. You could build him into a star one way or another. And listen, I think he could have been a really, really nice heel for WWE, especially somebody who could have translated really well to the main roster with that. Right now, they have a hard time figuring out what to do, especially on the main roster with, that heel thing. They do a lot of heels, but it's either this overpowered, ridiculous heel, or it's this guy who is just, like I said, like The Miz. It's like, or Sami Zayn. There's no in between there. With that, and I think you could have done some things with him, kind of be that guy who could fit where you needed him to. Meaning, if you had a really big baby face, he could come in and be the heel opposite of that. If you had a really strong heel, he could be the guy opposite of that. This is, like I said, this is a guy who's been around the ring for a while. I just get frustrated with this thing, and this is one of those things with WWE that frustrates me. You're squandering what you've got, and it's not rocket science. You didn't need to do a lot. You just needed him to beat Bronson Reed or lose in a roll-up. It's not that difficult. It really isn't. And then you have a quick little feud. You have him beat him, and then you move him on and move him up the ladder. You don't do this with him right away. It's a second match, and you've already ruined this LA Knight character. Listen, I'm ready for him to move on to his next route, and whether that be 2-3 years down the road. see what he can do to finish out his career. I mean, unfortunately, he's 38 years old. This is going to be one of his last contracts, and who knows? It could be his biggest contract. And I'm glad for him. I'm glad he signed with WWE. But it just shows. It's just sad because this is a guy who had big things and could have done big things. He was one of the bright points for me watching NXT that I really liked. I really liked his promos. I was really looking forward to seeing his in-ring work. I was really looking forward to seeing them build him up, him get in that, have some feuds, with Cross. I think him and Cross fighting each other would be fantastic. I think that would fit really well. I think he would be a really nice anti-hero face to Cross's, heel. That would have been awesome with it. But, for me, you squandered that. And so, we'll see where it goes from here with it. But this is just another example of, for me, where I wish the WWE would have went the other route. And for me, unless they do some really big changes, they've ruined LA Knight for me, and I'm just ready for Eli Drake to come back. And that's pretty much what it is. Like always, guys, I want to know, what do you think? Let me know down in the comment section. I'd love to know your thoughts on this. Maybe I'm totally off. Maybe I'm totally right. Maybe you're right on there with me. If you do, leave me a like. If you do like this and you haven't yet, subscribe. I would love it. Help out the channel with everything to keep keep things rolling, and also to give me feedback, if you guys are liking this stuff or not. Anyways, guys, like always, I thank you. Thank you for watching, and thank you for always being there. All right, guys, I know that you're busy. I know that I'm busy, so let's get on out of here. Have a good night. Bye.